Good evening and welcome to the town hall for UIC students, parents, guardians, families, community members, all of those who are interested in what's going on at UIC right now. Chancellor Emeritus and the undergraduate student government are happy that you're with us this evening for this special town hall on the UIC Circle Back to Campus plan for the fall semester. My name is Oscar Rodriguez, and I'm Associate Vice Provost of Academic and Enrollment Services, and I'll be your moderator for this town hall. I have a handful of housekeeping items before we get started today. And first of all is to please note that this town hall is in fact being recorded, and we'll make it available next week on the UIC YouTube channel. Closed captioning is available by clicking on the closed caption function at the bottom of your screen. And I'm also available a little bit afterwards, potentially if we can find time during the session for Spanish language translation, should that be necessary. Please understand that it's Spanglish and not quite Spanish, but nonetheless, it's there if we need it. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions in advance. You'll also find a question and answer button at the bottom of your screen. So please use that question to submit questions throughout the program. We'll try to get through as many of the questions that were submitted in advance and try and highlight some of the questions that are in fact shared with us in chat. And we'll get to as many of those as time in fact allows. So with that, let's jump right in as we've got limited time. So Chancellor Emeritus and the undergraduate student government are in fact sponsoring today's program to ensure that you're ready for the fall semester. The panelists that we've got joining us today will help address some of your questions regarding academic instruction, housing, safety protocols, issues regarding returning to campus online instruction, and more. Additional information is in fact available at today.uic.edu/coronavirus-recovery, making sure I was giving you the proper website. And we'd like to get the program started by welcoming Wasan Kumar, who's the president of undergraduate student government, and he'll provide a welcome, followed by UIC Chancellor Michael Emeritus, and we'll move on through the panels with some opening remarks for everyone. Thank you. Wasan?
Thank you so much for the introduction, Oscar. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our town hall on UIC's fall reopening plans. I hope that you are safe and well wherever you may be right now. My name is Wasan Kumar, and I'm the president of the undergraduate student government here at UIC. Today, we're going to be hearing from administrators and scientists about UIC's strategies to keep us safe, including things like cleaning, testing, and contact tracing. We're also going to learn about what classes will look like in the fall, how the residence halls will operate, and how we, as students, can stay engaged on a campus that is mostly online. Now, this semester will be tough. No one can perfectly predict what is going to happen with this virus, and I want to offer you all my utmost support. At Student Government, we have a team of amazing individuals who are here to try to help you with whatever problems you may be facing. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out through email, social media, or a knock on the door of one of our offices at SCE this fall. I hope that many of your questions and concerns will be answered through this event. I know that as USC students, we've been through a lot, and that we're all going to get through this together. Thank you again for your time, and with that, I'll pass it back to you, Oscar.
Thanks. Thank you, Wasan. With that, I'd like to turn the proverbial microphone over to our Chancellor, Michael Emeritus.
Thank you, Oscar, and thank you, Wasan, for helping us organize this event. Thank you all for joining us. I'm delighted that we have students, family members, members of the community with us this evening. And from what I understand, there's a number of students who are returning students and a number of students who are new students that they will come to UIC for the first time this fall. The idea today is to address a number of issues associated specifically with the undergraduate experience in the fall. And you heard already from Wasan, who will talk about health and safety. We're going to talk about academics, and we're going to talk about residence halls and the student life. And to have the right people to do this, I'm going to introduce them in the order that they will speak, starting with John Coronado, who is our Vice Chancellor for Administrative Services, which basically means that he is responsible for the facilities. He's responsible also, he's coordinating all the efforts that have to do with cleaning and have to do with everything that needs to be coordinated outside of the classroom or the student functions. Dr. Rick Novak is with us. Dr. Novak is the head of the infectious disease program in Chicago. If he looks familiar to you, you have seen him probably in one of the local channels or at CNN. And he is also heading the effort for the most exciting candidate that we have for a vaccine in the United States right now. It's a new vaccine coming out of a company called Moderna, and he is the lead of this in the Chicago area and in one of the Midwest. It's a study run by the National Institute of Health. Our provost, Dr. Susan Poser, is going to talk about academics today, and then our vice chancellor for student affairs, Mr. Rex Tolliver, is going to talk about the residence hall and the student life. I just want to spend, I will not take much more time, but I want to state the obvious for you. This is a unique situation. This is something that none of us has experienced in our lifetimes. And if anybody would hear a year ago, just a couple of weeks before we welcome the students back to our campus, that this is where we're going to be today, a year later, I wouldn't believe you. And I don't think anybody would believe that this is what we're going to be experiencing. And I have a lot of empathy, especially for the freshmen, the people that they're coming in for the first time. I know that this is not how you were imagining your first year in college. And this is not how and what you expected from your graduation during your senior year in high school. If it is any consolation, the only thing that I can tell you from my own experience is that overcoming difficulties makes you much more resilient later in life. Higher education has changed since the time that I was a student at the university, and it was the last century, the previous century, by the way. And we understood through research that the way that students develop, the way that they learn, and the way that they develop their professional skills is a combination of what happens inside the classroom and outside of the classrooms. This is why for years now, we have encouraged our students to stay on campus. We have encouraged our students to get engaged, to build networks, and we made our campuses friendly. UIC certainly has done this over the last few years to keep you here, and the students liked it. So it goes against our instincts. And I know it goes against your preferences to talk about physical distancing from each other. Keep your distance. Limit your presence on campus if you're not taking classes. But this is the only way that we have to fight this disease. And we need to do this together. So what I'm asking you here in the opening remarks is when you are on campus, follow the instructions. Become an example, a good example for the other students, and speak up when you see somebody who doesn't follow the rules and the regulations that we have put in place. And when you are away from campus, remain motivated. Take advantage of all that we have to offer. During the summer, the faculty and the staff made a huge effort to offer you the best type of online courses and to offer you many experiences that may not be identical to what you would experience on campus, but they're going to be equivalent to what you would experience on campus. So take advantage of these opportunities. Thank you. And Oscar, are you going to call everybody, or should I call on John and say, Mr. Coronado, maybe you want to start with some of our safety measures?
John, why don't you start with some of our safety measures?
Okay, say, Chancellor, you just did that.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here. I appreciate this opportunity to talk a little bit about the work we've been doing. It's since really the spring when we started curtailing the campus operations with the extended spring break and then transition to online learning. Let me start by saying that, we know that COVID-19 is throughout our community. This is a pandemic. But I feel confident that we've created a safe academic environment for our community. And I think as testament to that is that we've been having 1,500 students in our health science colleges on a daily basis since really mid-June coming, and there has not been any significant incidents on the campus. So I view that as a great sign. One of the things that you can expect, I'll talk a little bit about expectations now, is that we developed some safety training that is a requirement for all our staff and students to take. And you should see a message regarding that training and along with links. And it's a short training session about what to expect. A lot of the basics that you're hearing in the public already, such as masking, maintaining your distance, good hygiene practices. That's going to be the bedrock of everything we do. And you'll likely hear it several times today in this forum. And I think one of the key messages that we've been trying to push out is that if you don't feel well, you should be staying at home. Do not come to campus if you don't feel well. If you have any symptoms of any sort, whether it's fever, chills, sore throat, loss of smell, those are the typical signs that you may be getting sick, and it could be COVID-19. We've also developed what we call wellness screening or self-attestation. And we encourage folks our students to think about, are you really truly feeling well? Are you feverish? You should be taking your temperature on a daily basis just to check and confirm that you are well. As a university, we made the investment to provide 2 cloth face masks and a personal thermometer, and also personal hand sanitizer to every student coming to campus. So these goodie bags will be ready for distribution upon arrival in the first week of the academic year. A couple things to think about when you're thinking about COVID-19 is what presents the greatest risk. Through the science has told us that it's if you're in close proximity with someone, so that means for 15 minutes or greater of close contact, which in our terms is less than 6 feet of continuous exposure. And it's really about droplets, aerosolization in the form of droplets coming from people's mouth from a person who is actually infected and shedding the virus. And so that's why we talk about the greatest mitigation we can have in place is really wearing the face mask, taking that seriously, to always wear the face mask and maintain distance greater than 6 feet. And we've done many things on the campus to try to promote that. And then, of course, frequent hand washing and hand sanitizing. If you can't wash your hands, at least have hand sanitizer present so that you can really utilize that and feel good. So, because you don't want to be touching your face, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, because that can be problematic if you have the virus on your hands. So what other things are we doing to mitigate the risk? We really spent a lot of time in trying to figure out how to make our spaces safe. So we looked at our buildings, we prepared safety plans, we evaluated our HVAC systems for proper operation, we do regular maintenance on them. We looked at our potable water systems because as we de-densified the campus in the spring, we recognized that these building systems weren't operating all the time. So we exercise and test the water systems. We started producing signage, and so you'll see lots of signage on the campus to remind you, to provide those visual reminders to wear your mask, to sanitize, to maintain the distance. Visual cues. They're going to be outside the elevators, they're going to be at the entryways, they're going to be in the stairwells, they're going to be in the restrooms. We've removed furniture in some places where we have furniture to remove to make sure that people don't sit close to each other. We've installed barriers, plexiglass barriers, plexi shields in areas where we cannot maintain distance or a transaction is happening. We put sanitizers and wipes in all these places where we expect people to be moving about, out and about. In the elevator lobbies, in the classrooms, in the conference room, in the break areas, in the open work areas, so that there will be materials there to routinely clean and sanitize spaces for your hands. From a building standpoint, we've kept our buildings pretty secure so that so people can come and go. Only the people that have access to those facilities are coming and going. Now, during the academic year, that won't necessarily be the case on East Campus where we have the open lecture classrooms and student centers, but some of the administrative buildings will remain closed where if your iCard will need to be used in order to gain access into the facility. But as I said, the library, student centers, and many of the major classroom buildings will remain open. For the classrooms, you can expect to see sit here stickers. So actually on the seat or on the back of the chair, a sticker that says sit here. So in those rooms that have fixed furnishings, as that's a means of kind of like maintaining our physical distancing. So we can place those stickers there. We reconfigured the classrooms to maintain at least 6-foot distance between students that are coming into the class. We've actually tried to increase that standoff between the instructor and the student to 10 feet where we could, but there is a minimum of 6 feet there. And of course, we have hand sanitizer and disinfectant wipes available so that students and faculty members can also grab that, clean their spaces, sanitize their hands before, on the way in, on the way out, however they want to do that. In terms of cleaning practices, we really stepped up our cleaning, took a hard look at our cleaning practices and what do we have to do to combat the virus and where it might lie. So we've always done daily cleaning and sanitization of classrooms. That will continue. We really stepped up with our building service workers to increase the frequency of cleaning what we call the high touch surfaces. So constant wipe down with disinfectant of switches, doors, the restroom doors, the push panels and things like that. Drinking fountains, fill stations, all the areas where people seem to be touching. Our building service workers will be roaming essentially throughout the day to take care of that. When they're not visiting the restrooms, to attend to the restrooms or other areas that need to be cleaned or sanitized. We also are doing what we call weekly deep cleaning of our classroom spaces, our bathrooms, our elevators, with what we call electrostatic spraying with a hospital grade disinfectant on a weekly basis. And if possible, we'll do it more frequently. And with this disinfectant, it has a it essentially continues killing virus for up to 7 days. And so we think that will go a long way to continuing to combat the virus. There will be expectations laid upon the faculty, staff, and the students to clean. So we can't just do this with our personnel. So that's why we intend to have disinfectant wipes and hand sanitizers readily available throughout the campus. We also intend to have surgical masks, disposable surgical masks available for those who may not come with a mask, or if they lose their mask or something happens to their own personal mask. We will have readily available supplies of extra materials. But there will be requirements to clean, your workspace, the conference room, the collaboration spaces, break rooms, kitchenettes, coffee stations, things like that. And we do intend to have the materials readily available for all that. And anytime there's any interaction spaces, we really want, and this is something that's a personal responsibility, to really take personal action to make sure that we are maintaining those good hygiene practices. And we have plenty of hand sanitizer in stock to continually refill these hand sanitizing stations that are going to be at the entryways and throughout the buildings. And we have that readily available for all the colleges and units so they can maintain those sanitizers fully stocked. Let me talk a little bit about some of the other services that you're typically used to on campus and seeing, particularly starting off with the campus shuttles and the night ride vehicles. So these buses, just like the city buses, we do a deep cleaning on those. We do use this electrostatic spraying twice a day in these vehicles. And we've installed barriers so we can maximize the seating in the buses, but they still will be at reduced capacity with backdoor entry. And of course, everywhere there will be on campus will be the requirement to wear your mask and try to maintain that physical distance there. For public transportation, we do believe it's safe. If you look at the CTA and Metro websites, they have gone to great lengths to ensure safety of those public transportation conveyance means. They've also invested in deep cleaning measures in the frequent cleaning and sanitizing, and they've also taken steps to try to reduce the density in the buses and train cars. So we just ask that you take the prudent measures of wearing your mask and trying to make sure that you are maintaining distance for that ride. And then also washing your hands or sanitizing your hands as soon as possible after you leave those cars or buses. If you choose to forego public transportation and drive to campus, we, in addition to the typical monthly pass that many of you are familiar with, we do have instituted a daily parking at a reduced rate of $3.50 a day, which is available for all students. And so this is a significant reduction of the typical cost. I think last year it was $15 a day for the daily rate, and then the monthly rate is no change from previous academic years. So with that, that's a quick rundown of many of the things we have been doing. And when we open up for Q&A, I'd be more than happy to talk in more depth about any of this. But with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Novak to talk a little bit about testing and tracing. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I'm going to share my slides. I have a few slides that'll review the testing and contact tracing plan. Hope everybody can see these and can hear me. So we've spent quite a bit of time preparing a plan for the returning students in terms of testing and contact tracing. And although I don't have it on my slides, I can address a little bit on the quarantine issue. But our initial plan is based on the testing capability we have currently, which is going to be a saliva-based test. We've worked very hard to make sure that the saliva-based test is both accurate and we're able to administer it here on campus. And we estimate initially our capability will be, at the time campus opens, about 500 tests a day. So our goal initially is to test the people who are coming into campus residence halls, as well as what we consider high-risk students, which are performing arts students and student athletics, and people who are coming from high-risk states, as well as international venues. So what we're going to advise people is that following our Chicago Department of Health guidelines, that people quarantine at home for 1 week prior to arrival on campus. When they get to campus, they'll be tested using the saliva-based test. We'll have a 24-hour turnaround time for that test. They will then continue to quarantine in the residence halls for a week and be retested prior to returning to class or being able to go to class. So there'll be 2 tests in the first week prior to going to class. And then over the course of the next, probably by early October, we'll have expanded our testing capacity to 3,000 tests a day. And our goal is to then be able to provide testing to all students, faculty, and staff on a weekly basis. This will be a rolling testing strategy. We'll have testing stations set up throughout the campus. This will be managed by the Student Health Service. So what happens if somebody is found to be tested positive? We want to make sure that the testing, that individual doesn't spread to others. So we'll have a team of contact tracers who are currently in the process of being developed. This is an effort that's being led by our School of Public Health and will be managed by them. And they'll be working very closely with the Chicago Department of Public Health with their contact tracing program. We're most likely going to be using the same software so that we will have a two-way flow of information from the CDPH to the campus and vice versa, since many of our students are living in the community. That's it for my slides. I'm going to address a little bit about the quarantine issue because I know that there are questions about that already. So if somebody is tested to be positive, they're living in campus housing, they will be quarantined on campus in special rooms that have been set aside for the quarantine students. So they'll be isolated in those rooms. Meals will be provided to them, and they'll be quarantined for the duration of their illness, which the current guidelines are that will be 10 days from the onset of symptoms or 3 days from the last fever. So If somebody's exposed and we don't have the diagnosis, although we're going to get the information fairly quickly, we also have capability of housing those people as well in separate residence halls until we have the information on their exposure, and then they'll be retested. There's a separate protocol for retesting before re-entry into the student population. If somebody is tested positive, if they're not living on campus, they're not in campus housing, they will be expected to isolate themselves in their place of residence in the city. I noticed that people are asking about free testing, as the testing is all free and it's made available to everybody. I'm going to stop there and then I'll field questions as they come in.
Let me add to Dr. Novak's comments also that even before we reach the 3,000 per day limit, we will use a limited number of tests every day to surveil and see what is happening and identify the percentage of positivity that we have. So it's going to be an open station for students who are not in the residence halls or faculty and staff that they want to be tested there every day, starting with the first week of classes.
Thank you, John, Rick, and Chancellor. We thought it was important to start with some of the planning and operational details, and then we thought we'd pivot a bit and then talk a little bit about some of the impacts on student life and residence halls and then academics. So next, I'd like to turn over to Rex Tolliver.
Hello, thank you everyone for joining us. Happy to be with you. Look forward to welcoming you to campus, some in person, some virtually, in the next few weeks. I just want to let you know that we have been working tirelessly, both in housing, but in all of student affairs, to ensure that your fall experience, although not what you may have hoped it to be, we're going to work with you to make it the best that we possibly can. For those of you who are living in housing, again, we've taken a number of measures to ensure your safe return to campus. I would like our incoming students to know that we have a little experience already. We never shut our residence halls down. So we've been operating throughout the pandemic, and we continue to have students on campus even right now. And so we're looking forward to welcoming you back. There will be some things that will be different. We are implementing some dedensification plans so that we don't have as many students in our halls. There will be a mix of singles and doubles depending on the students' preferences. But also move-in will be different. I know some of you have loved to have parents, family, friends help you to do move-in, but in order to ensure safety this year, we've hired a professional crew to assist us with move-in. All of the students who are living in campus should have already received their notification of their exact move-in date and time. If you haven't done that, we ask that you reach out. Haven't received it, please reach out to Campus Housing for that. I know there's also been some questions regarding meal plans and meal service, and that will be happening on campus. For those students who are coming from areas that have been designated as quarantine areas, you will be able to utilize your meal plan and be able to order food or have food delivered to your room. You may also be able to use standard delivery services for any, fast food or groceries or whatever, but please know that your dietary needs will be addressed when you come to campus early. And those students also will have received additional notifications to let you know the process that you'll be coming into. Just from an operational standpoint, again, lounges are closed, but as Dr. Novak said, We do have isolation space and quarantine space, depending on the condition of the student, that's already set aside on the campus. So there will not be any mix of the populations. And as John mentioned, we've been doing additional cleaning. We have additional cleaning planned. We're also bringing in external cleaners to help with additional deep cleaning overnight. So we're taking all of those measures, not only in the residence halls, but in all of our facilities, student centers, as well as in campus rec, in the facilities that we'll have open. But I do want to say to all of you that it really is going to require us working together. We're going to need you to work with the staff and the faculty to ensure that everyone remains safe. So it's important to mask up. It's important to distance. It's important to follow the guidelines and guidance that you all are receiving. We're in this together, and we can make it through, but we have to do it together. I do want to say one other piece on the residence hall is that there will not be any guests allowed this semester, likely this year. So no external guests will be allowed into the residence halls. So that is a change that is different. I do want to say just one last thing about student engagement. The student engagement team has been working tirelessly to have a full virtual program available to students for the fall semester. So that team is looking forward to engaging with you online, and then in some cases there will be some outdoor and spaced events that we'll be having. So the team is looking forward to welcoming you to campus. We're looking forward to making your extracurricular and outside of classroom experience the best that it can be given the circumstances. So again, looking forward to seeing you, and please reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns regarding anything. Please do. So with that, Oscar, I think the provost is next.
All right. And with that, we'll turn it over to Provost Poser. Susan's the last presenter, and then we open up to Q&A, everybody.
Thank you, Oscar. Good evening, everybody, and thank you very much for attending this public forum. My name is Susan Poser, and I'm the Provost and Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs at UIC. This means that I have the ultimate responsibility for the academic enterprise at UIC. So I'd like to talk with you for a few minutes about the classes for this fall and what we've done over the summer to ensure that we can offer an academic program of the highest quality that also takes into consideration the needs of our students. Now, last May, knowing that we would have to offer the majority of our classes online this fall, we set to work to ensure that these online classes would be of the highest quality and that there would be some variety among instructional methods so that the students who have preferences or need some flexibility in their schedules could find it. So there are 3 ways in which classes will be offered this fall. There will be live classes on campus. We had planned for a wide variety of classes. However, as you probably know by now, just yesterday, we made the decision to move all of the first-year seminars to online instruction. These were scheduled to be on campus in order to provide first-year students with a connection to the campus and to their peers. But in response to student input and information we heard from the colleges, we decided just yesterday again to move these all online. So the on-campus classes are now dominated by science labs and some courses in the arts and music, areas where hands-on in-person learning is very important. Because of space limitations in the labs, in some cases, students enrolled in labs will not be physically on campus every week, but rather rotate through on-campus and online activities. In other cases, particularly some of the first and second year laboratories in some of the disciplines, the entire lab course will be online, and in some instances, students will even be receiving a lab kit so they can do their experiments at home. The key here is that an enormous amount of thought has gone into creating classes and labs that are the highest quality, but also adapted to our present circumstances. Now, there are some other classes that will also be held on campus that are not laboratory classes or classes in art or music. As you've already heard, students in all of these classes will have to wear masks, will be properly socially distanced, and will be in very clean and safe environments. Now, the second group of classes, and the most common, will be synchronous online classes. These are online classes where the instruction is in real time, sort of like what we're doing now. Faculty, TAs, and students will interact through Zoom, like we are today, or a similar platform. There will be opportunities for students to interact with each other and with the instructor during the class, but also during office hours and other activities that the instructor creates. In most cases, these classes will be recorded, so if a student misses a class, they can view it later. And finally, about 400 classes, mostly those that have more than 70 students in them, will be taught asynchronously online, as opposed to synchronously online. These are classes where students can receive content, ask questions, interact with peers, and turn in assignments without having a set time of the day or week when they have to do the work or meet. They can access the material at any time. There will, of course, be deadlines for assignments and papers and quizzes, etc., depending on the class. But within the framework of those deadlines, students are free to do the work for the course at their own pace and on their own time. We have moved these large classes to this format in order to take into account the fact that during this pandemic, we know that many of our students have responsibilities outside of school, where they're caring for family members, working, some are living abroad, or at home in Chicago, but in a situation that's not conducive to quiet study at all times of the day. Taking asynchronous classes gives students some flexibility in their schedule. We are all using an online platform called Blackboard for all the online classes, whether synchronous or asynchronous. You will have a lot of opportunity to learn how to use Blackboard to access online classes, regardless of what form they're in. Now, in order to create this program of classes, the faculty have been working all summer to prepare. Many of them have taken a class themselves in order to improve and expand their online teaching. They have upgraded their equipment, participated in webinars, and met with instructional designers. I took the class, even though I'm not teaching, in order to understand the type and amount of work it takes to build an online class. And let me tell you, it is a lot of work. But it also creates new and different teaching and learning opportunities that will be fun and interesting for faculty and students alike. Now, one subcommittee of a task force that met all summer long to advise about the fall program focused entirely on the student experience in taking online classes. This subcommittee ran dozens of focus groups with UIC students and then released a document on how to connect to students and build community online. This is all to say that we've put an enormous effort into ensuring that we are offering a program of the highest quality that serves the whole student and fully supports their progress to graduation. I have actually never seen the kind of dedication to students that I've seen this summer by our faculty. They have risen to the occasion because of their dedication to UIC students, and I'm confident that the education students will get this fall will be up to the high standards to which we have always held ourselves. So let me talk now about a couple of operational issues. When students go to register for their classes online, they will see immediately whether the class is on campus, online synchronous, or online asynchronous. They can even search the class schedule by one of these three designations if they have a preference for the type of class. And definitions of these classes, which I've already given, they are also provided upon registration. Students who cannot come to campus for health reasons can contact the Disability Resources Center for an accommodation. Students who may not want to attend on-campus classes for reasons aside from health, we encourage them to contact their instructor to see if the class will be recorded or if an accommodation can be worked out. However, the classes that are on campus are there because the faculty feel it is very important to have a face-to-face class, and we have taken, as I've said, extensive precautions that you've heard about tonight. So this concludes my remarks. Again, I'm delighted to know that so many people are in attendance at this forum, and I'm very excited to welcome our new students to UIC and welcome back our continuing students in just a few weeks. Thank you. And I'll throw it back to you, Oscar.
Thank you, Susan. So we've concluded the structured remarks portion of the program, and at this point we're going to move to some Q&A. And one of the questions that has come up a great deal in the number of questions that were submitted in advance, and I'm not quite paying attention to the Q&A because people are serving up those questions to me, is a question of tuition and fees. And for that, I'd like to pitch it back to the Chancellor and have the Chancellor address this whole question and concern about tuition and fees.
Thank you, Oscar. And before I go there, I want also to make sure that I introduce Dr. Robert Beres, who is our Vice Chancellor for Health Affairs, and he's here if we get into some clinical and health issues as well. So I'm not throwing the tuition question to you, Bob. So why can't we have lower tuition this year is a question that I have been asked a few times. The faculty that we have is the same faculty that they taught the classes that they were teaching face-to-face. The degree that we are offering is the same degree. It's not an online degree from a different, for-profit institution or anything like that. The student-to-faculty ratio in the classes will be exactly the same as it was in the face-to-face classes. In many cases where people look at big online programs, the student-to-faculty ratio is tremendous, which basically means that the students do not have access to the faculty at that point. And overall, which is important for a non-profit organization, state agency like UIC is, the total cost for delivering the courses is actually higher than the course that we had before. It's higher because of all the measures that we are taking to make sure that people are safe when they come to campus. And it's higher also because of the preparations that we had to make, because of the equipment that we will distribute to some students who do not have access to either the internet or laptops. And for all of these reasons, we don't have the option of lowering the tuition, of having lower tuition. Usually this question also includes the fees. And the fees get a little bit more complicated. It's confusing. I know this, and I know it even as a parent of college students. So there are two types of fees that we can put together in two different categories. One is infrastructure fees. And infrastructure fees are fees that have to be paid in order for the university to pay its debt when it comes to the infrastructure of buildings, parking garages, facilities, whatever we have in our physical infrastructure. And this is something that supports the entire 4-year or sometimes 5-year, 6-year, I hope not 6-year, experience that students have here. So these ones are payments that the university needs to make based on the fees. They're part of the agreements that the university has signed, and we cannot forego these fees. The second class of fees is fees for services. Is fees that we collect from the students in order to support the health center that we have, in order to support the mental health advisors that we have, in order to support libraries, ITs, the gyms, the programming that we offer, the student unions, portion of athletics as well. Some of these services will be offered online and will remain to be offered online. And some of these services may not. We are still examining the fees for the fall. And we will follow exactly the same model that we followed in the spring. When in the spring, we pivoted and we went to a fully online program, we shut down some of these services. And as a result, we refunded the students with the remaining fees. That's what we expect we're going to do in the fall as well. And we are not in a position yet to know what percentages we're talking about, but it's not a done deal yet for the fees. So the service fees remain an open question, and you likely, probably, to some extent, they will be a similar answer to the one that we provided in the spring. There's also another question that I saw in the Q&A that has to do with the residence hall costs. And Rex, I don't know if you want to jump into this as well. There were a couple of questions that say, well, what happens if we go fully online and we decide that we don't want to be in the dorms anymore? And can we separate the fall from the spring? The only example, and I don't know, Rex, if you want to answer this.
I can, yes. So
I think that we're going to give exactly the same answer. So.
as it relates to students who currently have signed up to live in the residence hall, if your classes are if all of your classes become online and you choose to no longer live in the residence hall, you will be able to move out. That will be allowed. For instance, if you no longer now have to come to the campus. The question about cancellations if we have to move out early, that question is similar to what we did in the spring semester. We will prorate whatever the balance is for the remaining of the semester and return those funds to the students. So it will be prorated, so you don't have to worry about the 75% cancellation fee if that happens. And then, of course, if students decide that they would like to move on campus in the spring semester, if conditions have improved, they're certainly able to do that, and will just have the spring semester costs that they're responsible for.
And as far as we know, as far as I know, and as far as Mr. Tolliver knows, this is one of the most liberal and to the benefit of the students policies that has been implemented in the spring and will be implemented in the fall. So we're giving you flexibility there with respect to the residence halls.
All right. Thank you, Chancellor. Thank you, Rex. There were a number of questions regarding the library and study space and where you can find yourself in a quiet spot to actually focus on your studies. Susan, would you like to address that concern?
Yes, I'd be glad to. The libraries, there's one on the East Campus, the Daily Library, and one on the West Campus, which is the Health Sciences Library. They have purchased software so that students and anybody who wants to come in and study can make a reservation. And that will all be explained to you when you get to campus. You can make a reservation to have a study space. You will then know exactly where you're going when you come into the building, or you will be told, and you can keep that space for up to 4 hours. Of course, these spaces are well distanced. There will be lots of hand sanitizer and such things around, and the libraries are going to be cleaned very often. The other thing I didn't mention was that, as was said, you have to wear a mask on campus all the time, including in class, but the faculty who are teaching on campus will have their own extra supply of masks with them, or it will be available in the classroom in case somebody forgets their mask, or it breaks, or they lose it, or whatever. We're also planning on setting up some other study spaces in some of the smaller classrooms that we are not using because they're too small for a class, but we could have between 1 and 4 students studying in those rooms. And the names and places of those rooms will also be available on a student academic support resource page, which is already up. It's currently on my website, which is provost.uic.edu. But it will be in many other places as well, including on the main site of UIC. And you'll be able to find all this information out there, including hours of the library, where the study rooms are outside of the library, and so on.
Thanks, Susan. Another question that's come up is a concern about, not even concern, just a question in general about the CARES money that was made available to students in this past spring, and if those funds would in fact be available again for students in the fall. So with that, who just popped on video, Deidre Rush, who's from the Office of Student Financial Aid. Deidre, could you share a little bit, because we're going to have some new students here as well. Could you explain a little bit about what the CARES money was, and then if it in fact is going to be available for us in the spring?
Sure. If a student, a student's parent, or a student's spouse, if married, experiences a change in their financial situation, the student's financial aid may be able to be recalculated through a process called the change of financial situation. We have a site on our site. We have geared towards students detailed information about a change of financial situation. Our website is financialaid.uic.edu. You would click the Financial Aid Steps tab, and then under there, you will find more information about a change of financial situation. Just so we do want to be cognizant to let students know that if your expected family contribution is 0, you may not necessarily experience a recalculation in terms of aid. However, there are COVID-19 grants available for students who undergo a change of financial situation. So we would ask students to look on our site to get more insight. And if you have questions, personal or specific questions about your situation, you can reach out to your financial aid counselor, also on our website at financialaid.uic.edu. click the FAQ tab and then the Contact Us tab, and that'll let you know who your specific financial aid counselor is.
Thanks, Deidre. It appears that there was a little bit of clarification requested around testing for students who are commuting to campus versus living on campus. And also we wanted to clarify a little bit about costs.
So I can address that. So just to clarify, as I mentioned earlier, we're offering saliva-based testing. That's actually a strategy for surveillance. So it's really aimed at people who are asymptomatic for surveillance purposes. If somebody develops symptoms, they will be referred to the Student Health Service, and they will get tested using the standard nasopharyngeal test, which is more sensitive and about the same level of specificity. I saw a question about sensitivity of the saliva test, and it's upwards of 80+% sensitive, which is actually quite good for a surveillance test, considering we're testing asymptomatic. So we're pleased with that result. But again, we switched to the nasopharyngeal for symptomatic patients. The cost is the test, the saliva-based test is being offered for free. It's you're not being charged for that, and it's going to be done on a rotating basis, so it'll be happen repeatedly, and it's painless and it's very easy to administer. Nasopharyngeal test is a little more invasive. That'll be done through the Student Health Service. I hasten to add that there are testing capabilities all over the city of Chicago, and people can easily get tested for free in just about every neighborhood. There are multiple freestanding clinics that are run by either Chicago Department of Health or other for-profit agencies like Howard Brown Health. So there should be no problem for anybody to get the test. We want you to test on campus because we want to know your results, and it does affect the whole campus. But if you test off campus, we'd like to know the results of that as well. Are there other issues that I missed, or Oscar?
No, I think that does a nice job clarifying. If there is more clarification needed, I'm sure that will be brought up in chat. They're going back to some of the questions that were submitted in advance. So is there how are students, given the fact that some of them are going to be strictly online, how are students going to pick up their IDs or a UPass if they're in fact going to use a UPass for this upcoming fall?
So for students, many of the students have already requested their IDs and they were mailed to their residences, but you had to do that by the end of July. You could have requested it to be mailed because you could upload your photos, so we did that. But the office will be open for students who are returning to campus to be able to pick them up at the office as well. This is especially true for any continuing student who may have lost an ID card, so they will be able to be there to pick up that as well as their UPasses. So the office will be open.
All right, and then perhaps one that is going to feel a little bit not quite esoteric, but perhaps not process driven, which is, how do you think student life is going to change for UIC in the fall? Like what can you predict? What do you expect for students? Would anyone like to tackle that question? It appears that I got a couple of those.
Student life in the broadest sense, or I think student life will be different in that students won't see as many of their fellow classmates on campus, but we're certainly hopeful that the students will take advantage of the opportunities to engage both in the classroom and outside of the classroom. There are going to be a myriad of experiences that allow students to engage in their academic work as well as in their extracurricular. So in knowing that it will be different in terms of in person, but think about, you're going to have this unique experience that allows you to do all these things that you've been doing online, online even more through whatever social media mediums you've chosen. At the end of the day, having taken a number of online classes, I can tell you that your experience can be as meaningful and as rich as if you were in person. So though different, I think it will be rewarding. I think it will be unique. And I think you have the opportunity actually to engage with more students from various backgrounds than you ever would have had being in person. But that's just my take.
Would anyone else like to add, point you to? I'd be remiss not to remind, or at least not to state to everyone that it's 6:27, so we can go for probably another 10 minutes or so. So if you have some final questions, please submit those. We'll see if we can address some of those if there are additional questions. If not, we'll go ahead and round up with some closing remarks. And while we wait to see if there's any final questions that we want to address, we did think it was important to again stress some of the precautions and some of the things that we're going to be asking of you, the students, right? The expectations that we're going to have, not just of you, but of everyone on campus. And we thought we'd go back to Rick to stress some of these things again, as we all have to work toward a safe and healthy fall semester for all of us.
Yeah, I'm happy to address that. So we've set up all this testing and contact tracing, and we've done all these precautions for isolation and quarantine, which are very important. But the most important thing that you can do is to wear a mask and socially distance. This simple public health measures have actually been the most effective strategies for controlling the pandemic to this point. And it's critical that we all continue to practice wearing a mask and socially distancing when we get to campus. This is something you can do for your peers and they can do for you. We can all do for each other, frankly, and the campus to stay open, and we all want people to get their education. And the way to make that happen is to follow simple rules, as inconvenient as they might be.
All right. A couple more questions, and then we'll go to closing remarks. One of them is for John. John, do you have a sense of how many students we're going to be expecting on campus in the fall?
Sure, we're still collecting numbers, but right now, our estimate is that on a daily basis, we expect in the neighborhood of 5,000 to 8,000 students on East and West Campus. And Fridays will be a little lighter, but we won't get full numbers until after registration closes.
And because we have a mix of currently enrolled and new students in the town hall, East and West Campus are separated by about half a mile to 3/4 of a mile. So students are going to be spread out across both sides of the campus.
Right, and that'll be throughout the day. So the campus is over 200 acres in those two areas, 200 buildings, and it's throughout the day from basically 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. That's the volume of people that we will have on campus.
Sure. Thanks, John. One final question before we go to.
And this includes professional and graduate students as well, right, John? These are not the undergraduate students.
Correct. This is all students.
And we also have a campus to the east of the East Campus down in the Loop, our new law school, the UIC John Marshall Law School. That's also part of our campus.
And Oscar, before you get to the last
Go ahead.
hey, look, we're university people. I know a couple of students had asked about the rec center. The rec center is open. It's open already. So it is already returned. So it will be open as long as the state and city guidance allows us to continue to operate. It will be open. There were also a couple of questions about specifics related to some of the engagement opportunities. If you go to the student engagement site at UIC, the programs and information about weeks of welcome, about the virtual convocation, all of that information is out there. There's a countdown screen to what's going on. We will be doing virtual org fairs, fraternities and sororities, all those things and activities will be happening virtually as they did in the spring semester. So please know, again, that all of those activities will be virtual. They're even planning some virtual music events, competition, and so forth, similar to what happened in the spring as well.
All right, and then don't mute up, Rex, because you're in fact the last question. So there's some questions about accessing mental health services or other health services during this time.
So the counseling center is open and available. They have continued to operate with virtual individual sessions. They've also been doing group sessions. That will continue going into the fall semester. As Dr. Novak mentioned, Family Health is open, so the Student Health Service is open. They have also been doing virtual services, well as pharmacy and so forth. So from a student health standpoint, please know that all of those services are up and operating, will continue to be operating, and will be able to meet all of our students' needs. So.
All right, so with that, we've got a couple of closing remarks. Wasan, if you have any closing remarks for your fellow students, please feel free to share.
Yeah, happy to hop back. Thank you again, Oscar. There's been a lot that we've talked about today. I've definitely learned a lot, but I completely understand that there are a lot of questions that students may still have, that we also have as students, that we want to know about. And the honest thing is that a lot of these specific issues are things that we will be working to solve, and we will be doing like as we go forward. I mean, our plan isn't perfect and 100% comprehensive in that sense. So if you as a student like do see something that you think needs to be changed, or you want to see something changed on campus, like please do like speak out on it. Reach out to us. Like we're happy to help. Reach out to the administrators who are here on this call today. Like we're here for you. And beyond that, like, yeah, it definitely will be tough. I'm going to my senior year. I'm absolutely nervous about what the upcoming year will look like, what the job market's going to look like after I graduate. But it's all stuff that we're going to have to work through. So thank you for your time, and thanks to all the admin who are here today to help clarify some of these points.
Thanks, Wilson. And Chancellor Merides?
And thank you, Wesson, again. Thank you for joining us this evening. I will repeat what I think is the most important part that I said, at least, is that it doesn't make any difference how detailed or how good this plan is. It's going to fail if you don't follow the instructions. We rely on our students, we rely on our staff, and we rely on our faculty to follow the instructions, because that's the only way that we can be successful and protect the safety and health of everybody else. So follow the instructions, become a good example, and speak out if you see people that do not follow the instructions. Let us correct the situation there and help us correct the situation. Looking forward to seeing you virtually, but maybe even on campus. I'm on campus as well.
All right, thank you, Chancellor. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us this evening. Again, as a reminder, a recording of this is expected to be posted on the UIC YouTube channel next week. Please watch out for it. If you've got friends who weren't able to join us today, please ask them to check YouTube next week in order to review the video. Also, for the most current information, we really do encourage you to bookmark and find your way back to today.usc.edu/coronavirus-recovery. We'll make sure that the information there is the most current information that we have for students and staff. Please do. And then also please watch your email. The Circle Back to Campus newsletter is in fact sent to everyone every Thursday. So please watch for that every Thursday. Also, most current information that we can provide for you there. Thank you for spending time with us. We hope that we were able to answer some of your questions, perhaps address some of your concerns. Again, if there's anything that you have questions about, reach out to us on campus. We are happy to try and get you the information that you need to help alleviate some of the fears and concerns that you might have, so that we can have a healthy and productive fall semester. Again, thank you, everybody.